Welcome live to Madison International Speedway in Oregon, Wisconsin. Tonight, the ASA AC Delco Series live here on TNN Sports. The Factory Motor Parts 300 just about to get started on a cloud-filled night in southern Wisconsin. Show you how the season standings shake out. 7 races remain, including tonight's run. And Gary Sainamont, the 1998 ASA National Champion, has a near 300-point lead over Tim Sauter, Kevin Sawinski, and Mike Garvey-Trail. Those drivers need to have great nights tonight and the rest of the way if they're going to have a chance in winning the 2000 ASA Championship. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Good friend Steve Burns alongside Bob Dillner on pit road. This really a home game for many of the top stars in the series, Steve. A lot of Wisconsin drivers who have a lot at stake here tonight.
Great racing legacy here in Wisconsin. 7 drivers in the field from Wisconsin. But Rick is an unknown factor here. They haven't raced here since 1993, and we have 2 rookies in the front row.
Sure do, and one of those is a driver from Wisconsin. Many surprises in the starting lineup, including one significant name who is not here this weekend. We'll tell you more about that as time moves along. A great weekend qualifying-wise for both Robbie Pyle and Scott Wimmer.
Hi, I'm Robbie Pyle, driver for Young Motorsports. We're on the pole today and looking for a sponsor.
Hi, I'm Scott Wimmer, driver of Clemens Investments, Weir Chevrolet, Monte Carlo. I'd like to say hi to all my friends and family in the stands at Madison Speedway tonight.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sawinski, driver of the number 21, eweb.com 21, LaFavor Racing, Monte Carlo. Just glad to say we're back in Wisconsin on some of my home tracks. We're looking for good things.
Hi, I'm Gary Sainamont, driver of the Wins GM Goodwin Chevrolet. I'd like to say hi to Tracy and Jordan and wish my Uncle Sam a speedy recovery.
Hi, I'm Mike Miller, driver of the number 18 Jenny King Pontiac, and we didn't wreck last week, and we're in the top 10 this week. Life couldn't be better.
Hi, I'm Tim Sauter, driver of the number 9 Build-A-Mold Chevrolet. I'd like to say hi to Mike Eddy.
Hi, I'm Butch Miller. I drive the number 52 Myers Pontiac. I hope everybody enjoys the show.
Hi, I'm Mike Garvey, driving number 1, LaFavor Racing Teams, Tecumseh Chevy Monte Carlo. I'd like to say hi to all the employees all around the country from Tecumseh. Hi, I'm Jack Landis, driver of the Mansion Homes Ford Taurus. I'd like to say hi to my daughters, Chelsea, Cassie, Miranda, and my son Connor.
Hi, I'm Andy Burgess, driver of the Menard Car 85. Toby, you sure you got time to be watching TV?
Andy Burgess referring to Toby, one of the crew members on the team car that Charlie Menard wrecked so hard last week in Iowa. That car unable to be here tonight. We'll take you through the rest of the starting lineup, but Steve Burns, the biggest surprise of the weekend, Mike Eddy, the 7-time ASA National Champion, not here to compete this weekend.
Biggest surprise and the biggest name in this series, and Bob Dillner has more on that breaking story.
Well, Steve, it's been a very, very frustrating year for Mike Eddy. Only 3 top 10 finishes all year. There's been a lot of internal conflict on the Marty Eitnone team, plus some financial troubles. They are not here tonight. Mike Eddy has taken one of those cars, which he owned, back to Michigan with him. No word on whether he will compete in ASA again this year.
As we take you through the balance of the field, 34 cars set to run tonight. Great rookie contender Joey Clinton has to come from the 16th row tonight. David Stremme and John Silverthorne from Texas in the Aquaterra Ventures Chevrolet will round out our field here this evening. And we'll show you the drivers who failed to make the starting grid tonight here at Madison International as we get set to go racing in a couple of moments. Chad Wood, who had a good run going last night in the non-qualifiers event, wrecked hard up in turn 1. We may talk to him later on. Mark Cole, David Anspaugh, Tim Schmidt, and Mike Beyer, a couple of drivers trying to make their first starts of the season with ASA, not being able to make the show. Robbie Pyle and Steve Wimmer, Kevin Sawinski, and Gary Sainamont in the top 2 rows tonight. And Steve, Robbie Pyle certainly has a lot at stake, funding an issue for that team as well.
They've run so well, and they are on a limited budget. They don't have a sponsor as of right now. They're in the top 10 of points. Robbie's been knocking on the door. Maybe a good run tonight could help secure a deal.
Scott Wimmer won 2 races in his rookie season early this year at Lanier Speedway and at Hickory, looking to get back to victory lane. Green flag is out at Madison, Wisconsin. We're glad you're with us tonight on TNN Sports. Had trouble right away up in turn 2. Scott Wimmer and Tim Sauter in the wall hard. A couple of other cars are involved. Ricky Johnson spins up there. The 01 car being driven tonight by Greg Edwards from Pequasin, Virginia. We are under the yellow flag before even completing a full lap. Robbie Pyle will lead the field back around, but That is a tough break indeed. The outside pole starter tonight, Wimmer, we were just starting to talk about him. Heavy damage to the rear of the 05 car. He is going to have to bring that car onto pit road, Steve.
Tough break for Scott Wimmer. I saw him get sideways, Rick, as they went down in between turns 1 and 2. As you said, he's one of the local drivers from around here. Had a huge fan contingent here of friends and family. 50 people here. Let's take a look at what happened, Rick.
Field moving down. The green has just come out. Remember, Wimmer grabs the early advantage. Pyle looks like moves up, tags Wimmer in the left rear corner. Around he goes. Gary St. Amant just brushes by. Pyle goes up and into the 05. That's where the damage was done, and Tim Sauter just on the brakes to stay out of trouble. Sauter, meantime, is on pit road already. Wimmer, you know, is going to need some service, and here's what happened behind. There's the 01, the 26 machine turning around. Glenn Allen on the brakes. The 85 of Andy Burgess sliding to a stop without hitting the other cars. Let's go down to pit road. Bob Dillner.
Well, Rick ran down to Tim Sauter's pit. He's got some big-time body damage. The crew looking at the front suspension right now, but possibly only body damage right now for Tim Sauter.
So they'll do some quick surgery on that car, but there are a lot of other cars. Rick Beebe is stopped on the racetrack in the 23 car. So the caution is out. We put 8 laps on the board, all under yellow in Oregon, Wisconsin. At Madison International Speedway, Oregon, Wisconsin, the Factory Motor Parts 300 tonight for the ASA AC Delco Series. Scott Wimmer has come to pit road. We're looking for a restart now. 5 laps officially complete. Gary St. Amant will take over the restart lead. Scott Wimmer has had the bodywork torn away from the back end of the 05 car, the outside pole starter, who was the most heavily damaged machine in that melee. St. Amant, your leader, as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Right behind him now is Kevin Sawinski, who won his first ever late model race here many years ago. Jack Landis and Butch Miller battling there for 4th. Mike Miller, who's won here several times. Former track champion here, in fact, in local late models. Mike used to headquarter in these parts back in the 70s and 80s. It was a dominant force on this track and many others, all part of the legendary Central Wisconsin Racing Association, which still does function. You're on board the Jana King Pontiac of Mike Miller, riding 3rd out of turn number 4 and up onto the front stretch. Butch Miller is 4th. Jack Landis is 5th here in the early going. And back in 6th, the 33 of Craig Stewart. Took advantage of that wreck to gain several spots. Mark Dismore is 7th. And Brian Hoppy in the 51 car, the Gildan Sportswear machine. Keep an eye on that blue and white car. Hoppy has won several races here. He is a local star as well, plus being a star in the NASCAR REMAX Challenge Series. Downstairs, Bob Dillner.
Wimmer's dad and also the crew chief, Ron Wimmer. Ron, it looked like Scott took a big hit there. How's the car?
Well, the chassis is okay. I mean, our body's really bad, and it's going to hurt the downforce, and it's really going to hurt us. It's too bad. I don't know what Pyle was thinking about. First lap, he hits him, but that's the way it goes. We're going to just keep fighting here and see where we can go.
Rick, Steve, they had a tough break at Louisville, if you remember as well. Tore up the front end of that car, and they had a very good car, even with the body damage there.
Looking to get on track tonight. Scott Wimmer has looked to get back to victory lane ever since winning the first 2 races, 2 of the first 3 races of the season. Trouble for Mike Miller on the backstretch. Kevin Sawinski has taken over the lead now, but you can see Mike Miller's 18 car, actually that's the 01 machine, slow on the backstretch. Mike Miller, meantime, in the 18 was running 3rd. He's dropped back significantly. He's back to 7th spot right now as he whistles down into turn 1. Brian Hoppy, look at the right front brake rotor of the 51 glowing. Mike Miller is right there as well. We jump on board Mike Miller. The Jana King Pontiac, they have had a tough stretch of luck in recent weeks, but Dr. Carl Hyland, the crew chief of that team before the start tonight, he said they had put the car back straight. They were happy with the car, thought he would be very, very competitive tonight, but Mike is dropping off the pace here in the early going.
You know, Rick, talking about Gary St. Amant, you mentioned that Kevin Sawinski had taken the lead, but the good news for Gary St. Amant as he's trying to nail down the championship is that he led several laps, got 5 bonus points, as we see Gary there in the yellow number 7 chasing Sawinski.
Sawinski, of course, from this area as well here in Wisconsin, won his first ever late model stock car event here many years ago. Told me he won his share here, but was not a dominant. Didn't consider himself to be a dominant driver in local late model racing here. Certainly knows his way around Madison International, though. Didn't take him long to take the measure of Gary St. Amant and charge to the lead. As we go on board the USAMeets.com camera on the roof of Gary St. Amant's machine, he has pulled out to a big lead. He and Sawinski have opened up a couple of seconds over Butch Miller, who rides third in the number 52 Pontiac, the Meyer Stores machine.
Well, Butch Miller, that's the name we need in a driver we need to keep an eye on, Rick, because Bob Dillner was saying earlier that tires could be a problem tonight, brakes could be a problem, and if there's anybody, there you see Butch in the 52, those brake rotors glowing, if there's anybody that's good on old tires, it's Butch Miller. He's a master at it.
Now remember that Robbie Pyle was the pole sitter tonight, tangled with 05, the Scott Wimmer machine on lap number 1, turn number 1. Pyle back on the racetrack, getting lapped here by Sawinski and St. Amant. Could be a tough night for Robbie Pyle, Bob Dillner.
They are not happy campers down here in the Robbie Pyle pit right now. If you take a look at that car as it goes through the corner, they have a left front suspension problem. The car won't turn as well. Robbie was very nervous going into this race because he doesn't like to sit on the pole position. He said he would have rather qualified fifth, and he actually said, I might even jinx myself by saying this.
Things did not go well for Pyle off the drop of the green flag. You saw him turn that car, actually have the car wash up the racetrack between 1 and 2, get into the left rear corner of Scott Wimmer's machine and touch off that first turn scramble. Pyle's brake rotors obviously very hot. You'll see a lot of glowing brake rotors here tonight, a la Martinsville in Virginia, when you watch the NASCAR Winston Cup machines. There's your leader, the 21 of Kevin Sawinski, carrying that eWeb21.com sponsorship, which was moved over to the LeFevre cars. The 01 carries that decalage as well tonight, after Mike Eddy and team owner Marty Iton split this week. Eddy, as we told you at the top of the broadcast, took his car that he and Chaz Howe co-own and headed back to Michigan. Sponsorship deal apparently coming apart at the seams, and Eddy not with us this weekend. Mike, hope you're watching. Hope you're back in the saddle very, very soon. There's Butch Miller in the 52, running third. Jack Landis is up to fourth. Greg Stewart in the 33 is fifth, and there's the 44, Mark Dismore, running in sixth. Right behind him, Mike Garvey in the 1. Last week's dominant force at Hawkeye Downs. He rides in 7th spot in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. Steve, it'll be interesting, I think, to watch Mike Garvey's progress tonight. We've talked several times this year. He's been a hero or a zero. Has the 3 wins in dominating fashion, but on the bank tracks, they have not been very effective.
No, and when he's good, he's very, very good. But, Rick, you talked about, hero or zero, checkered or record, whatever you want to call it. Mike Garvey has 5 finishes of 20th or worse. Now, after he won last week, he jumped up in the points from 7th to 4th, but 5 finishes of 20th or worse have doomed him in the point standings.
Needs a good run here tonight to further cement his climb in the points chase. But the point standings at the moment in the hand of Gary St. Amant, who rides second in this one behind Kevin Sawinski, a former champion who's looking for his first win of the season. Welcome back live to Madison International Speedway in Oregon, Wisconsin. The Factory Motor Parts 300 for the ASA AC Delco Series tonight. While we were away, a quick lead change. Gary St. Amant made a move that, Steve, the locals tell me is very hard to do here. He made an inside pass on Kevin Sawinski and made it stick.
Hard to keep momentum up when you do it on the bottom like that. And, keep in mind, Rick, we're talking about points racing as we take a look at the pass for the lead. Gary St. Amant, 5 points to lead a lap and 5 points to lead the most laps. So Gary may have a championship on his mind.
Gary certainly does. Hasn't won since the season opener at Lakeland, Florida back in March. There's the move coming out of turn 4 and down into 1. Many folks here who watch this track weekly tell us that on the inside like that, the track is so tight in the corners, you have no momentum build up. You have to get on the brakes even harder to run that low line, and getting off the corners is very hard to do to make the pass good. But St. Amant showing you the veteran talent that he possesses, able to make the move around Sawinski and recapture the lead on lap 34. So Gary, the dominant force here, nearly 300 points in front of Tim Sauter, hoping to put the lead further, the point lead further out of reach tonight with a strong run. But a reminder to dial up on the internet, wrenchhead.com. Millions of brand name auto parts and accessories to choose from. It's easy to prove you're a wrenchhead. Are you a wrenchhead? Find out at wrenchhead.com with parts online all the time. Kevin Sawinski's got the right parts under the hood of that 21 car. He just scoots to the inside. Oh, and there's a spin. David Bonnet spins coming out of turn 4 in the Dunlop Golf Chevrolet, the Caton Motorsports machine. So the caution's out for the second time tonight. Just as Sawinski was making the pass on Gary St. Amant to retake the lead. And Steve, again, Sawinski to the inside. So contrary to what we were told was the conventional wisdom here at Madison International, first St. Amant, then Sawinski using the low line to make a pass for the point.
Rick, this is my first visit in person to this track, and I was really overwhelmed at how tight, how much of a left-hand turn 4 is. And it would seem the conventional wisdom, as you mentioned, would be to keep that car up high to keep the momentum up.
Everybody I talked to in the garage before the race said, hey, this is a momentum racetrack. You've got to have that going.
You got to keep that car wound up, but they're making it work on the bottom. Now, as you said also, we might see a different line as those tires start to wear a little bit. But right now, man, they're sure making it work on the bottom.
Kevin Sawinski with a strong move to the inside of St. Amant to get the lead back. 57 laps around the board. The spin by the 75 of David Bonnet. He has put the car pointed in the right direction. He's back up on the racetrack. Bonnet running 27th right now in that Caton Chevrolet with the Dunlop Golf and Golf Shack logo. Back live at Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin, restarting. With 62 laps on the board, your leader is Kevin Sawinski. Gary St. Amant is second. Third is Mike Garvey. Right behind him, Mike Cope in the blue and white 3 car is fourth. That's the 26 of Brian Kavinsky getting lapped once again in that green and white 26 car on the high side. And a reminder to check out something new, TNNonline.com, for more motorsports information and all the behind-the-scenes stories. Check out our website, TNNonline.com. Garvey in the 1, Cope in the 3. That's a good battle for third spot. Scott Hansen right there in 5th. In the 5 car, Jack Landis has dropped back a little in the 07. He is 6th.
There's been 4 previous races here on this racetrack in ASA competition. Some pretty impressive names.
Yes.
Won these. Jim Sauter won the first one in 1984, the father of Tim and Jay. 1985, Butch Miller. Alan Kulwicki was on the pole for that race. Mark Martin won it in 1986. And as we said moments ago, Scott Hansen in 1993.
Hansen looking to double up, and he has been on a tear of late. Won at Salem. Scored again at Jennerstown a couple of weeks ago. Butch Miller back on the speedway in the 52. Ran as high as 3rd early, but he has dropped back significantly. Stopped a couple of laps ago during that caution. He's shown 19th. Bob Diller, what's the situation for the Meyer Pontiac?
Well, Butch Miller was one of the only top runners to stop, and Chip Caputo, the crew chief, told me they are going to stop a lot, and this is the reason why. B.F. Goodrich brought a little softer compound than what they have been using recently. That means the tires are going to wear more. And Rick and Steve, if you remember, this is the same compound that they brought to Louisville. And at that race, Butch Miller stopped 5 times, changed 10 tires. Guess what? He won the race.
That's right. His last change, fired him up significantly and got that car to victory lane, along with Butch's amazing drive on the last lap at Louisville Motor Speedway. We can have another finish like that tonight, Steve.
Oh, my goodness.
We'd have earned our nickel. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, you bring up a great point, though, Rick. Butch Miller is one of the best in all of motorsports at saving his tires. You know, when a guy goes out and he's fast at the beginning of the race, Butch may not be there. But, brother, at the end of the race, he is going to be there because he knows how to take it easy on those tires.
Miller working inside, the 22 of Ricky Johnson, the 44 of Mark Dismore. 2 Herzog Motorsports Chevrolets running together on the racetrack, 17th and 18th. Talk about a team that's struggled lately. Ricky Johnson was last year's Pat Shaw Rookie of the Year in ASA, as we watched Tim Taylor and the 55 machine in position there as well. There's the 1 of Mike Garvey. Now Garvey starting to fly in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. He's worked his way by Gary St. Amant to take over second. So Garvey looking great here tonight on this banked Madison International surface. We'll talk more about Ricky Johnson and Mark Dismore in a moment, but Steve, Garvey really impressive here.
Yeah, and you talked a while ago about how he's been so great on flat tracks. Well, this track has a little more banking to it, but boy, he looks like he's strong just like he was at Cedar Rapids.
And back there, the 4th place car, you see the blue and white 3 of Mike Cope, won the consolation, the non-qualifiers 100-lapper here last night. Cope, a veteran short track star. He's won at just about everything he's tried over the years. Plans to make ASA his full-time home in 2001, and he is motoring through the field from 21st. He is 4th right now.
Oh, look at the back here. He's St. Amant. Rick, I got excited. Here comes Cope.
To the inside of St. Amant, give him 3rd spot in the 3 car. Bob Diller, he is marching toward the front.
He is, and he's very happy with the way the car is running right now. Mike Cope, I've watched him for years on the short tracks, the trucks, and the bush. As you guys mentioned, he is not necessarily the best qualifier, but Kevin Sawinski told me yesterday he is going to be the guy to watch in this race because as the race goes on, the car comes to him, and he knows how to wrestle a short track car around this racetrack.
And he knows perimeter chassis car. He has radial tire experience in the truck series for a year and a half and in the Busch series for half a season. So This is new to Mike, except the combination with the motor, the tires, and this particular race car, which is brand new just a couple of weeks ago. Now Garvey running in second spot in the 1. He's got his mirrors full of Mike Cope battling for second down into 1. Cope rolls through on the inside. He'll make it stick. He made the pass in the middle of the turn, able to go up the racetrack in front of Garvey. So Mike Cope moves to second in the Manheim Chevrolet. Garvey is third. St. Amant now is fourth as they bust down the backstretch in trouble. Tristan Dupuis has spun in the middle of the backstretch down into the infield in the 11 car. The Edie's Ice Cream Pontiac, and we're under caution for the third time tonight. And there's Tristan, gets the car fired up and back up onto the speedway. Not having a good night so far. Dupuis, normally a top 10 car, back in 23rd at this point. A couple of laps down. He was caught up in that lap 1 skirmish up between turns 1 and 2. Another car caught up in it at the start, the car of Rick Beebe, the Jerry Gunderman Pontiac, the 23 car. He's been on pit road quite a bit tonight, Bob Dillner.
Well, he's actually behind pit road right now, and they are making repairs to the car. Rick Beebe, one of the nicest guys in the pit area, but man, the bad luck continues for you this year.
I'll tell you what, I just feel so sorry for the guys in the All-Star crew. They worked so hard. You know, we've been here 3 days. We had a really good car. Unfortunately, didn't have a good qualifying run. Had a great car, had a good chance to go to the front, and it's just kind of unfortunate. I think in ASA right now we got a few guys that are renting rides in this series that probably haven't quite got the experience they need, and it definitely cost us out there dearly, and we're done for the night. It boogered us up pretty good, so I guess we'll just have to hold our heads up and fix the car up and go get them in Milwaukee next week and be at home for the guys that on the race team.
Can I get you to explain a little bit more?
Yeah, just I don't know, you know, just a lot of bad luck. We're just going to have to try to work hard and win a race or two through the latter part of the season. Hopefully our luck will change a little bit.
Rick Beebe said the 01 car rammed him right in the rear end.
I want him to explain the term boogered up. That must be a Midwest short track term.
When you're boogered up, you're in bad shape.
Especially on Saturday night.
Oh, boogered up is bad on a Saturday night in Wisconsin. Boogered up is bad.
Tough break indeed for Jerry Gunderman's crew. They are based in Milwaukee, and they'll be at home, of course, as Rick mentioned, this coming week, and then for next weekend's Milwaukee Mile event, the Time Warner Cable 200. Caution, leaders on pit road. Sawinski in the 21 is your race leader. He will stop around the front side, as will Mike Cope, as we watch Sawinski roll toward the attention of his Lefevre Racing crew. Bob Diller, what are they going to go for down there?
Well, it should be right side tires. We're going to see a lot of pit stops here tonight by all the front runners. 2, 3, maybe 4 pit stops. This is round number 1 for point contender Gary St. Amant right now. They are working on the right side of the car. No chassis adjustments for this team. They are very happy with the car. Kevin Sawinski also on pit road. A very tight pit road, and Mike Garvey with a great stop.
Garvey gets away first ahead of his teammate Sawinski. Now Garvey's been quick as we watched. He dropped back to third. He was passed by Mike Cope right before the caution came out. 35 miles an hour, the pit road speed limit. They've got a very nice layout here at Madison International, Steve. I was down on the surface looking at this situation that they've built, the new pit lane on the inside with the inside retaining wall being moved, and the pit road out goes out on the backstretch. Gives the drivers a good place to funnel up onto the speedway. So very clean pit road for these ASA teams tonight. We'll be back. 78 laps are on the board at Oregon, Wisconsin. Back live at Madison International Speedway, Oregon, Wisconsin. The Factory Motor Parts 300 getting ready for a restart. Lights are out on the safety car. Your restart leader is Brian Hoppy in the Gildan Activewear Chevrolet, the 51. He's from around these parts. This, in fact, is home track. Hoppy's had a lot of success here. Mark Dismore will restart second of the Monster.com Chevrolet, the 44. And Steve, Mark Dismore not taking tires on that most recent round of pit stops. Neither he nor Hoppy did, going for track position.
Mark Dismore, 20-year-old rookie. As you said, he's struggled a little bit lately. They've been in a little bit of a slump. Mark Dismore is the only driver in the top 23 in points who hasn't led a lap. So maybe they want to give him a taste of what it's like to run out front, Rick. Had some good runs earlier in the season. Both he and his Herzog Motorsports teammate Ricky Johnson in the 22, the Nationwide Auction Systems car. Started to talk about them a few moments ago. They have both struggled, especially Ricky Johnson in recent weeks. Thought he would be a prime contender to win his first ASA race, certainly this season after a Rookie of the Year campaign and a top 10 in points a year ago. They have mightily struggled. Here's Kevin Sawinski, who had led many laps here tonight on board the Tecumseh Chevrolet of his teammate Mike Garvey. They're battling it out for fifth. Garvey is fifth at the moment. Sawinski sixth. Right behind him, Gary St. Amant, who's led many laps here tonight, too. He rides seventh in the 7 car. The national point leader in the American Speed Association. We jump inside the Wins Chevrolet, the USAMeets.com camera. Sawinski in the tracks, the tire tracks
of Mike Garvey right now as you're riding with St. Amant down into the corner. Bob Diller, what about Kevin Sawinski's situation? Are they going to march back to the front here?
They definitely think they are going to. And an interesting point, Rick, we keep on talking about the brakes. Well, Kevin Sawinski and Gary St. Amant, they have a contrast in driving styles right now. Gary right now is trying to take it easy to save the brakes. Kevin Sawinski is actually trying a different technique. He is actually shifting on the straightaway. He told me before the race he might try to do that because if you shift going into the corner, the car will automatically slow down a little bit more, less pressure put on the brakes. You're going to save your brakes that way.
Brian Hoppe hanging out of the lead, riding with the 7th place driver Gary St. Amant, turning the car to the inside, wanting to follow Sawinski straight ahead in the 21. That's Tim Taylor's EMAS Ambulance Systems 28 on the high side with some damage.
Rick, that's a great view inside of St. Amant's car. There's Joey Clanton. We haven't heard much out of him, but he's 9th right now.
Clanton started back in 31st, and he's kind of specialized, Steve, the last couple of weeks in coming from the back to the front. Last week at Hawkeye Downs, started very deep in the field and came up with a top 3 finish for the 2nd consecutive race at Hawkeye Downs.
Yeah, he actually finished 4th, and I believe he started 31st, Rick, so you're exactly right.
Joey Clanton in the EchoSource83.com machine now. EchoSource.com jumping on board the Steve Dale Pontiac last week at Hawkeye Downs as the major sponsor, a website that specializes in health supplements and that sort of thing.
Vitamins, protein, supplements.
Minerals.
That's it.
All the things we had tonight in our pregame meal.
Oh, loaded with vitamins.
Tim Sauter, the defending ASA National Champion, had trouble in that first wreck, and they build them old Chevrolet, the 9 car there. They put the car back together. Sauter back on the racetrack, but many, many laps down, being shown 32nd at the moment, some 45 laps down to the leaders. So Sauter will be out there just trying to circulate, pick up some valuable points, and stay in the hunt for the national championship. Glenn Allen Jr. in the Goodwrench Pontiac, the black number 4 there. He and Jack Landis in the 07. Glenn Allen sitting in 10th spot. Landis is 11th right now. Tim Taylor in the 28 car back at 12th. And I'm going to call the Russ Tuttle. He's in 13th spot. Brian Hoppe pushes up the racetrack. The 27 of David Stremme, the Robert Hamke Pontiac. First time we've heard from Stremme tonight. He takes over the point. Hoppe's tires are gone, you can tell, the way he's washing up the racetrack. But Stremme, an Indiana late model star, making his 3rd ASA start. He's running well tonight, and he's got the point.
We first saw him at Salem, Indiana, Rick. And, you know, I wasn't that familiar with Stremme, but everybody in the garage area said, watch this guy. He can drive. He's won a lot of late model races. He's a young guy. Started 33rd today, having a great run in that 27 car.
And you've got to give a call to Tim Sauter, the 1999 ASA champion, 3 times a winner this year. Bent up badly in that lap 1 wreck. His crew hard at work. They put the 9 car back together. We just told you Sauter 30-some laps down. He's gotten by the leader to get 1 of them back. Brian Hoppe says, yeah, I know I need tires. He brings the Gildan Chevrolet down on pit road. They'll go for, well, left side tires, it looks like, on that machine. That a surprise. Perhaps Hoppe picked up right sides earlier. There were a couple of earlier cautions, and some cars did come on a pit road, but I guess the troubles are more severe, Steve. The hood going up on the Gildan Chevrolet.
Rick, he was really slow going down the backstretch, so with the hood up and we see some steam, smoke coming out, he may be in big trouble. The 1999 Remax Challenge Series champion.
So Tim Sauter in the 9 car at the head of the pack, but he is not on the lead lap of the Build-A-Bolt Chevrolet. Your leader is David Stremme in car number 27. Mike Garvey is 2nd, Kevin Sawinski 3rd, Gary St. Amant and Scott Hansen, the rest of the top 5 closing in on the 100-lap mark here in Madison, Wisconsin. Next Sunday afternoon, we're with you from the Milwaukee Mile. The ASA AC Delco Series makes its annual visit to one of the sport's super tracks, one of the sport's legendary ovals, the Time Warner Cable 200. 3 o'clock Eastern and Pacific on TNN Sports. And you can find out more about the ASA AC Delco Series, of course, online with us at TNNonline.com. Leaders on the backstretch, Kevin Sawinski holds the point in the 21. Gary St. Amant, the national point leader, is 2nd. Scott Hansen has charged up to 3rd in the 5 car. Mike Garvey, Mike Cope, and Glenn Allen Jr. round out the top 6. And we're joined in the booth by a driver who was expecting big things this weekend, but instead, Chad Wood, you took a big lick into the wall last night.
Yeah, we did. You know, we were running the qualifier last night. We struggled in practice and in qualifying yesterday, and we had to run the qualifier last night. And, you know, we went into turn 1 there with only 2 laps to go, and the brakes let go on us.
Hey, Chad, Rick and I have been talking about the way these drivers are getting around this racetrack. You've won a lot of races here. You taught at driving school here. You know, it seems like in turn 4, guys have been making it work on the bottom side, but everybody else told us you had to work high.
Yeah, it's the corners are real tight here, and it seems like with the ASA cars, you got to run a little higher line. So we got a caution here.
We sure do. Caution waving because there's debris on the racetrack up in turn 4. You might have gotten a glimpse of it. Looks like a bumper cap came off one of the cars, and that will cause the track crew to go to work just outside the groove in the 4th turn. We'll take advantage. We'll talk more to Chad Wood when we come back after this quick timeout. Welcome back to Madison International Speedway in Oregon, Wisconsin. Rick Benjamin, Steve Burns with Chad Wood, local star here from Madison, Wisconsin in his rookie ASA season. Took a hard wreck last night in the non-qualifiers race. Good to see that you're feeling well.
Yeah, I'm a little banged up and bruised, but I'm feeling all right today. The more I move around, the better off I feel, so I figured I better not lay around and come out and watch a good race tonight.
Glad to have you with us here. Steve was talking to you about the racing groove tonight, the low line working for a lot of these drivers. A surprise to you?
A little bit. You know, we run here on the weekly shows, you know, you run a little bit higher, but it does seem like, you know, these ASA cars, it seems like you got to run a little bit higher line off the corner where we try to keep a little more tight. It looks like there's a lot of passing underneath coming off the corners. That's where it looks like they're passing a lot tonight.
Kevin Sawinski's made the low line work for him. That's how he's gotten the lead back. Gary St. Amant has made it work as well. You've watched everybody practice and qualify. Who do you think has the strongest race car here tonight?
Well, I'm not sure. One of my early favorites got taken out, Tim Sauter. I thought he'd have a good chance tonight since he'd run here quite a bit, but and of course Scott Wimmer too. I thought he'd have a strong run, but both those guys got taken out right away. I guess Sawinski's looking real strong here tonight.
Sawinski has been tough, but you know, Scott Hansen, so good at Salem on the high banks. Winner here the last time ASA came here, Steve and Chad. I think he's really holding some cards for the second half of this event.
Well, you know, Scott Hansen, as we said, has already won a race here. Hey, let's take a look at that replay when that bumper's on the track.
Down coming out of the groove, coming out of turn 4, and yeah, Gary St. Amant did run over it, it looks like.
Yeah, left front tire got over that, but at this point, it looks like he hasn't, you know, lost any pressure in that tire. So maybe a big break for Gary St. Amant.
Coming up on 130 laps complete here at Madison International Speedway. You're on board with St. Amant at the 7 car, riding second. He's led tonight. That's Scott Hansen right behind him in the 5, the Don Finetti Ford. On board now, Mike Garvey's Tecumseh Chevrolet. He's back in 4th spot. Top 4 nose to tail. Is this a time in the race, Chad, when you'd want to settle down and just ride? You're not even to halfway?
Yeah, I'd definitely say you just want to kind of settle down and ride, especially a little short track like this at Madison here. With the tight corners, you just kind of sit down and ride and, you know, wait until the last 50 laps and start racing.
Chad, is there one corner that's tougher than another? I was amazed at how tight turn 4 was and how you have to really crank the wheel down.
Yeah, ever since they put the new wall in here for the pit road coming off the floor there, that seems a lot tighter. I don't know if it's just the wall kind of gives you that vision deal there or whatever, but you know, I think definitely off 4 is a lot harder to get off of.
Watching the battle for 3rd, the 5 car. Hansen has it right now. Then Garvey is 4th. Behind him, Mike Cope, who's come from 21st, rides 5th. Check in on pit road, one of the drivers who led just a few moments ago, Brian Hoppy, who's been so strong here so many times. Bob Dillner, they've got problems with that Gildan Chevrolet.
They do. We originally thought it was just going to be a tire stop for Brian Hoppy, but they have the 51 car behind pit road now. The crew going to work. Brian, what happened?
Something broke in the drivetrain in the rear end or somewhere like that, and it doesn't look like we're getting it back out. We were having a great run for Gildan and bumper to bumper. I mean, we had our hometown, and we had a couple hundred people here for a little hospitality, so I was looking forward to running up front, just hoping for a top 10 today.
Tough break indeed for that young driver who has been such a force in the NASCAR REMAX Challenge Series. Local runner here too in late model competition. Hoping to have a good run tonight at one of his maiden voyages in the American Speed Association. Mike Cope in the blue 3 car running in 5th spot. Glenn Allen Jr., Steve Burns starting to move. He's been strong here. He's run here before and doing a nice job tonight in Bud Gibbons Pontiac.
Glenn Allen Jr. has worked his way up into the 6th position. And, you know, Rick, it's not that we've overlooked Glenn Allen, but, you know, he came into this ride late in the season, replaced Terry McDonald, Cadieux, and then Derek Gilchrist gave that car a good ride for a couple of races. But Glenn Allen Jr. is a guy who has won races in this series, was second in the points one year. So, hey, let's not be surprised if he wins a race.
Not at all. And, of course, the 96 NASCAR Busch Series Rookie of the Year, a young driver with plenty of driving talent. And he's starting to get the feel of these cars again. They're different from what they were when he left the series a couple of years ago, drawing a bead on Mike Cope here for 5th spot. Chad Wood, what are your plans the rest of the season? You've been with us much of the year. You've missed a few weeks. Will you be at Milwaukee next weekend?
We were hoping to. We were building a brand new car for Milwaukee, and it kind of looks like now we'll hopefully get the new car ready for Memphis. That's our goal right now. We're looking at trying to get it done for this week, but it just kind of looks like we're going to be running short on time.
Well, that's a tough break, but we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at Memphis International when we get out there.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate you stopping by tonight. Chad Wood, the driver of the Ford Taurus, the number 2, wrecked so hard here last night when he was in position to qualify in the last chance event. Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh Chevrolet is 4th. You see him down into turn 1, going around the lap car of Tim Taylor. Right behind him, Mike Cope, Glenn Allen trying to get inside the 3 of Cope from position as they battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. On board Mike Garvey's machine. Looking back at Mike Cope. Up onto the front straightaway. Your leader remains Sawinski. 138 laps are on the board. Not quite to halfway tonight. Cope takes a look to the inside of Garvey as they power off the corner.
You know, Rick, we've been talking about what a great racer Mike Cope is. Well, let's back it up with some facts. He's a 1994 and 96 NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series champion, and he was the runner-up in 93 and 95. 14 career wins in that series.
Cope is a stout competitor, and he has certainly put on a show. A couple of weeks ago at Toledo Speedway on that Sunday afternoon where the rains were such a factor, we did start and run later in the afternoon. Cope started back at, 35th, 36th spot. Steve, he got up to 9th before he wrecked on the backstretch. Got a tap from behind and went sailing down through the mud, and that ended his afternoon. But he showed the strength of that 3 car pretty definitively in that afternoon.
Look at that tachometer all lit up there on the dashboard. Of all the gauges there, oil pressure, fuel pressure. Wow,
driver preference, of course, and the way the gauge setup is. Gary St. Amont's dash a little different. The gauge is lit up all across the board, and the tack not visible. Now, a lot of drivers like the tack to the left, and in Gary's car, it may well be mounted down low left so that you can see it as you turn your head and your hands down into the corner. Some drivers prefer it in that location in the cockpit.
Mike Miller with no lights. He's such a veteran, he doesn't need it.
No,
he doesn't.
No.
As long as that baby's running, he doesn't care.
He drives by touch, I think, more than anything else anyway. Now, we see the sign there in front of the steering wheel. Is this car tonight?
Yeah, remember, he's got this car, that car, and the other car. We'll have to find out from Bob Dillner, but this car is his favorite car.
I believe it is this car because, as Carl Hyland told me, they had worked extensively on it to put it back the way Mike likes it and make it ready to rumble here tonight. Now, Miller qualified 5th, his best qualifying run in quite a while, but he has dropped off the pace early. He's back in 17th spot right now. Tristan Dupuis battling for position back there. Mike is 17th, and Dupuis actually 21st right now, not on the lead lap. So that is a battle not for position, but for track position, certainly. And Dupuis swings around the 18 car. So Tristan on the move a little bit.
Tristan, boy, he's been so close to breaking into the win column. Thought he was going to get a win at Jennerstown. Had a great run at Toledo when he and Jack Landis got together. But, boy, Tristan's had some great runs, but just can't close the deal.
Closing in on halfway, about 4 laps shy of halfway. Kevin Sawinski is still the dominant force. Gary St. Amant second as we ride with Mike Miller in the Jana King Pontiac. Larry Foyt in the 14 car has certainly had his first year successes. He's qualified well several times. He's had his first year troubles too. Last week, spun 4 times at Hawkeye Downs. Tonight, though, Larry's doing a great job, Steve Burns. Larry Foyt is 16th, and he's on the lead lap.
And one thing I like about Larry Foyt is he adapts pretty quickly to the racetracks. You know, he's a rookie, Rick. He's coming to places he's never seen before, much less heard of. So for him to get in these cars, you've mentioned how Butch Miller has been helping with that effort. But still, Larry's got to get in the car and drive it very quickly on racetracks he has never seen.
Started 28th tonight. He's gained 12 spots. He's up to 16th. Bob Dillner, what do they think? Does Larry Foyt have more in that machine?
Well, they don't know for sure, but you guys talked about last week. He spun 5 times. Larry said he was very, very embarrassed that he did that. But the problem was he had no front brakes in the car. Every time he would go in the corner, step on the brake, the rear brakes would lock up and he would loop the car. They took the car this week to Lake Geneva here in Wisconsin and tested it. Actually, Butch Miller got in the car. He pulled it in after 2 laps and said, guys, you better make some changes to this car because I can't even drive it. They did that this week, and they're hoping it comes into effect here tonight.
You know the story of Larry Foyt, A.J.'s son. The A.J. Foyt Butch Miller co-owned Pontiac with Harris on the side. Larry, a veteran of go-karts and then Formula Ford 2000, as is Mark Dismore. It's about as different a race car as you could want from an ASA machine. Larry never driven anything with fenders, nothing that weighed this much or had this much horsepower until starting the season at Lakeland, and it's been a steep learning curve for Larry Foyt, but he has been impressive in qualifying. He's raced well at several venues, and we look for great things from young Larry Foyt as the season continues. A couple of laps short of halfway, Kevin Sawinski at his home racetrack, one of them anyway, hoping for his first win of the season tonight. And Scott Hansen back to the front of the pack here. One lap till green coming up, and it'll be 140 laps to go. Lap 160 going up on the board right now. There are your three lead cars, the 7, the 1, the 5, and then the 83 of Joey Clinton, who has made a big move tonight. Remember, Clinton lined up 31st here tonight, and he's come to 4th. Mike Cope, who had run up in the top 3 earlier, had troubles as well on pit road. He'll restart in the 10th spot in the Florida Auto Auctions Chevrolet.
Yeah, they lost 5 positions on that pit stop, Rick. That's an example of how tough bad pit work can hurt you on the racetrack.
Pontiac Grand Prix safety car dives onto pit road. Danny Spence puts the green in the air. Lap 162 on the board. Back green and going. Leaders trying to shuffle by some lap cars. John Silverthorne goes way high to get out of the way of the faster cars. First car down into the corner will be David Bonnet's machine, then Tristan Dupuis, and then the 85 of Andy Burgess. And Burgess looked like he wanted to spin, got the car collected, didn't hit anything. We stay green down the front stretch, tons of traffic. You've got a huge speed differential out there on the racetrack between the leaders and some of the lap machines. Tristan Dupuis trying to take advantage and get one of his laps back here. He was 2 laps down in 20th. David Bonnet a lap down as well in the 75. He'll stay in front of the leaders at this point on the racetrack. On board the Tecumseh Chevrolet of Mike Garvey, and Garvey behind Gary St. Amant in second, trying to get by the 85 of Burgess. Now Burgess is a lap machine. He will not get out of the way for Garvey.
Yeah, and he's holding him up. You know, he started 10th, but right now he's running 24th, and Garvey needs to get around him desperately.
Burgess 2 laps down to the leaders. I thought we heard Garvey perhaps talking to his spotter, asking him to go get Burgess's spotter and have him move up the racetrack and let Garvey by. Mike will swing to the high side, the Lakeville, Minnesota driver. Winner last week at Hawkeye Downs, 3 victories this season in ASA competition, and Burgess just racing him hard for no apparent reason.
You're clear.
Oh, you see Mike Garvey pointed at him as he went by, and I think
you're number one.
Attaboy, just checking on him.
Garvey puts the right hand back on the steering wheel as they funnel down the front straightaway. Scott Hansen right behind him in 3rd. And Don Finetti Structural Transport Taurus. Gary St. Amant now diving to the inside of Tristan Dupuis. So St. Amant will go back to the head of the class. He is your race leader. Dupuis goes a lap down one more time. Bob Dillner downstairs and Scott Hansen's pit. What are they saying, Bob?
Well, Scott Hansen is running very well. He likes the car right now, but crew chief Craig Smokestad just got on the radio and said, "Hey, Scott, why don't you get up there and lead some laps?" He said, "Why don't you get on the dark car and lead some laps?"
St. Amant takes advantage of the shuffling behind him to scoot away to a significant lead, almost a second over Mike Garvey, who cannot get by Dupuis, who again is not on a lead lap. Garvey's got to be frustrated. Here comes Hansen going to the inside of Garvey. That had trouble written all over it. Garvey able to come to the inside and close the door on Hansen. Remember, ASA has not raced here in 7 seasons. It was September of 1993, and Hansen was the race winner. He's from Green Bay, not too far from here, certainly knows this racetrack.
Not only was he the race winner, but he led about 150 of 200 laps. So, yeah, you know he knows his way around this racetrack. And once he gets used to this car, you know, on this racetrack, he's going to be dominant.
Good on the high banks. Got one is for, trouble up in turn 1. Mark Dismore spins contact. Andy Burgess drills the 44 car hard. Trouble for the 40, Brandon Sperling, with problems in the left rear corner of that car, dragging something on the racetrack. Andy Burgess drops the window net. He's okay. Looked as though Dismore spun. Burgess, I don't think, got on the brakes in time. Mark Dismore, the Monster.com Chevrolet, stuck in the mud down on the inside of turn 2. He's hung up down there. Wheels off the ground. He can't get the car rolling to get it out of the infield. So our 7th caution of the night with 129 laps remaining. Burgess will jump out of the Menards Chevrolet and take a look at the damage on the front end of that car. That was a pretty hard hit. Good to see Andy Burgess is okay. Mark Dismore's got to be frustrated. Mark spun, it appeared, by himself in the 44 car, but then some of the cars trailing didn't get on the brakes nearly in time, and there was hard contact. We'll show it to you one more time as Dismore tries to get a rock and roll and start to get the Chevrolet off the berm. Here's the spin. Dismore all by himself, evidently. Twirls around, gets the car rolling to the inside, but the 40 and the 85 were right there. And in the defense of Brandon Sperling and Andy Burgess, I don't think they had a chance, really, when we saw that replay.
Boy, look at Dismore. Brandon Sperling gets a hold of him. And then Burgess. That's a tough break for the 44 of Dismore, the young 20-year-old. How he led out was a great crew chief, but they've had to replace the rear clip in each of the last 3 races, Rick.
Hindsight being 20/20, if you're Dismore, you'd have wanted to lock the brakes up and keep the car right in the center of the track, because Sperling and Burgess had gone low and wanted to stay low. Instead, the car rolled down the racetrack, and they had no place to go. So Denny Crookston's crew, they've got the hood up on the 40 car. A lot of damage, no doubt, will need to be repaired on that machine. Andy Burgess and Mark Dismore will need to come in on the hook if they're going to get any opportunity to put those cars back together. Now, Dismore's car was running, but he was stuck. The back end of the car, the chassis of the car hung up on a dirt berm in there. Mike Miller on pit road, as is Scott Hansen. Down to Bob Milner.
Mike Miller is already pulling off pit road, as is Scott Hansen. Right side tires for both of those teams. Their 3rd pit stop already. We're at lap 173. We can see a lot more pit stops down here, Rick.
Those 3 are among the quicker cars. You're on board the BF Goodrich onboard camera for Mike Miller. This one's going to take a little while to clean up. 127 laps remain at Madison International in the Factory Motor Parts 300. Back live at Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin, the Factory Motor Parts 300 tonight here on TNN Sports. I'm Rick Benjamin, joined by Steve Burns. Bob Dillner is on pit road. You're on board with the leader, Gary St. Amant, who is super strong right now in Bud Gibbons Chevrolet, the Wins Goodwrench machine. 2nd place now belongs to Kevin Sawinski. He rolled by Mike Garvey, no problem at all a couple of laps ago. Garvey was quick in 2nd spot, but he's backed up to 3rd in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. Mike Garvey riding 3rd, but your leader is Gary St. Amant, who's the national championship leader. Hasn't won a race since the first week of the season at Lakeland, USA in Florida. Bob Dillner, how does Gary St. Amant feel about that? He's got to be pleased that he's leading the points. How does he feel about winning races at this time of the year?
Well, he's frustrated that he hasn't won in quite some time. Let me tell you, I spoke to Gary yesterday. He is one hungry racer. Yes, he is running for points right now, but he told me he won there at Lakeland, but he really wants to win again. Pit strategy has hurt this team in the last 3 races. He's hoping that doesn't happen again here tonight.
You know, Rick, Gary St. Amant has led 8 different races for 530 laps, and tonight he's led right at 100 laps. You know, and we talk about him points racing. Perhaps we've been unfair saying that, he's not racing as hard as he could be, but, Mike Garvey's the only guy that's led more laps than Gary St. Amant. Gary's about to change that.
He sure is, and if you take a look at St. Amant's season record so far, it's incredible. He's been in the top 6 all but 2 races this year. Out of the 13 starts, had an 18th place finish at Louisville, and then was 11th in the first race at Hawkeye Downs. Started on the pole both those weeks, so that shows you how strong they've been all season long. Another driver who was strong here tonight in the Manheim Auctions Chevrolet out of Florida, Mike Cope, looked like a contender, but Bob Dillner, he's done for the evening, huh?
Well, it surprised us all. He was running really well, and then boom, Mike Cope's out of the race. What happened?
Well, it's one of those 2 cent parts that bite you. The left front locking collar on the wheel bearing, evidently there's a little tang that's on it that broke off, let it spin out. I thought we had left some lugs loose on the left front. It's the first time these guys ever pitted a car, but it's just one of those deals that happened and knocked us out. But we've had a good car tonight, as you can well see, and I've just hated for Florida Auction of Orlando, Charlie and Kim White. They're at home watching this deal, and I feel terrible for them. It's been 10 years they've been with us, and man, I would have went for them so bad. And that one last night wasn't good enough.
You had some contact with the 44 just a couple laps earlier. You said you just booted him in the rear.
Yeah, definitely. I got down the corner and just, when Mark was picking up the throttle, I just touched him. And it's one of those racing deals, not like what happened to us at Toledo. I feel terrible for him. It's not the way you want to start out running here. The way you want to start running here is up front. That's where we had the Manheim car tonight.
Tough break for Mike Cope today, but he will certainly be a strong, get this, Rick, rookie contender next year.
He will be a strong contender in that Manheim Auctions Chevrolet. Gary St. Amant is wiring him at the moment. He's opened up 1.1 seconds on the eWeb21.com Chevrolet of Kevin Sawinski, who runs in the number 2 position. 3rd spot to Mike Garvey. Glenn Allen is 4th. Joey Clanton is 5th. Ricky Johnson with a good run up to 6th. We should mention, if you're not familiar with the eWeb 21 signage on Sawinski's car, that's the sponsor that had been with Mike Eddy all season long. As we told you at the top of the broadcast, the Polar Bear is not here this weekend. He and team owner Marty Eiton splitting this week. Eddie has gone home. Mike, we miss you. Hope you're back soon. Gary St. Amant, your leader. 84 laps to go at Madison International Speedway. 75 laps to go tonight at the Factory Motor Parts 300 in Oregon, Wisconsin. Madison International Speedway. I'm Rick Benjamin with Steve Burns. Bob Dillner is on pit road. Your lead battle starting to heat up again. Gary St. Amant on front. Oh, trouble. John Silverthorne has spun and stopped up in the middle of the racetrack. The field scatters to get around the 08 machine. At the top of pit road, Silverthorne will bring the car onto pit road. Looks like he's got a tire down perhaps on that machine. And we will stay. Actually, we'll go to caution. There is a problem with the right front corner. As you can see, it looks like a suspension piece has broken on the Aquaterra Ventures Chevrolet, and Silverthorne will come to his pit stall in the attention of his crew. And they will jack the right-hand side of that car up and go to work under there, see what they can find out. The Silverthorne Racing Chevrolet. So the Pontiac Grand Prix for the year 2000, the official pace car of the ASA AC Delco Series, back up onto the speedway in front of leader Gary St. Amant. Gary had built up a good advantage over Sawinski, but that advantage will go away now. Kevin will come right back to him and line up on his back bumper. Some of the leaders may be preparing to come to pit road. It appears that some crews are tired up and have the fuel cans ready and might take advantage of this caution to bring their machines onto pit road for one final round of rubber here tonight.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Gary St. Amant does. Remember, at Jennerstown, he felt like he gave up the lead late in the race.
Yeah.
Will he stay out this time? We've got, about 70 laps to go late in the race. What is up? Here he comes.
St. Amant will bring the lead pack in its entirety down onto pit road. Top three cars are the 7, the 21, and the 4. Bob Dillner, Gary St. Amant's headed your way.
Everybody was very thankful this caution came out because they could not go the rest of the way on fuel here. They will go to work on Gary St. Amant's car. He is on the right side right now. They will change 2 right side tires, as will most of the teams here. Right now they need a pinpoint accurate stop, and they get one for Gary St. Amant.
The Bud Gemmett team again gets St. Amant down and away quickly. They knew they needed to improve their pit stops after trouble the last 3 races. Good job again for the wins. Goodwrench Chevrolet team. Garvey comes off pit road 2nd. Ricky Johnson will restart 3rd. Then the 21, the 83 of Clanton, the 27 of David Stremme. Robert Hamke's crew again doing a nice job. The 07 of Landis, the 4 of Glenn Allen, Mike Miller, and Russ Tuttle. That'll leave the lead in the hands of Dave Sensiba, the FC Sports Dunlop Golf Pontiac, when we come back. Right. Safety car is in, ready to get to it. 57 trips to go. Sensiba is your leader in the silver number 6. 3rd in the line there, Gary St. Amant in the yellow Chevrolet, running 2nd in the event right now. Then Garvey, Ricky Johnson 4th, Kevin Sawinski 5th. Leaders down the backstretch. The 26 machine, Brian Kavinsky, separating the top 2 cars at the moment. He is not on the lead lap. There comes St. Amant to the outside down the front straightaway, closing in on Sensiba. Dave Sensiba, the MC Sports Dunlop Golf Pontiac, leading late in the going here. 65 laps remaining. Mike Garvey in the 1 is 3rd, and Ricky Johnson doing a nice job in the 22. Kind of an unsung fine run for the young driver from California. Bob Dillner, his crew has got to be pretty excited tonight.
Especially after that pit stop. He was running in the top 10, but now he is up to the top 5 spots. Ricky Johnson feels this car is the best it's been all night long. And Rick, we've talked about how hungry Ricky Johnson is for a win here in ASA.
The Nationwide Auction System Chevrolet out of the Herzog Motorsports shops. Good run tonight. Johnson from 18th to 4th. Here's Gary St. Amant. He wants the lead back from Dave Sensiba. Sensiba trying to hang on up in the middle groove of the racetrack. St. Amant too strong down low. Will have it by a bumper. Sensiba, though, hangs right with him down into 1.
Racing him hard.
Sensiba last stops for tires on lap 178, so his rubber not nearly as fresh as that of St. Amant. They will hang right with him on the high side. He will have to stop now that he's given up the lead. He needs a quick caution to get that fresh tire situation corrected, get the tires put on the race car, get it back out without losing too much track position. Mike Garvey right there in third. Here comes Kevin Sawinski to the inside of Johnson. He wants fourth, and he's going to take it away from the El Cajon, California driver. Joey Clanton right there as well, and Steve Dale's 83 machine.
I want to make one point about Joey Clanton there, the 83. This could be a big night for him in the Rookie of the Year battle because Scott Wimmer and Robbie Pyle have both had problems. They're deep in the field. So Joey Clanton, you know, he's thinking about that Rookie of the Year title. That's worth some bucks too, Rick.
Ricky Johnson told us a moment ago, according to Bob Diller, the car was the best it had been all night. Bob, I think it's safe to say the car is not good at the moment. Ricky Johnson pushing up the racetrack at both ends of Madison International. He's giving up ground quickly. He's going to go another spot down. Glenn Allen Jr. will go inside in the 4 car. That'll kick Ricky Johnson back to 8th. So 4th on the restart. He's lost 4 spots in 5 laps.
Ricky Johnson, we've said before, Rick, one of the greatest Supercross motorcycle racers of all time. One of the, you know, just about more career wins than anybody on 2 wheels, trying to make it at 4, doing a good job.
Super strong, of course, as well in off-road racing on 4 wheels. He's won the Baja 1000 several times. Gary St. Amant strongly in front with 57 trips to go. He is the point leader in the ASA AC Delco Series, the 1998 Series champion. Mike Garvey working on Dave Sensiba for second. Garvey to the inside. Sensiba having problems keeping the 6 car down low. He's got John Silverthorne's lap car back on the racetrack. 3 wide down the backstretch. Sensiba meat in the sandwich at the moment. Able to stay on the gas and stay alongside Garvey. But the low line is quicker here tonight in Madison. We told you at the top of the broadcast how veterans of this racetrack say the second line up the track is better. Garvey kicks up some sparks, but tonight the fast cars have been using the low line in the corners here. How about Mike Garvey and the Tecumseh Chevrolet? 3 wins on the season. It's either feast or famine, though, for this team. The incident in Nashville, Garvey leading. Joey Clanton just bonsai'd him up into the wall late. Then the big tangle with Philip Kranifus. Garvey, though, back. Working the wheel nicely. Winning at Chicago Motor Speedway. First trip there ever for ASA. Came back last week at Hawkeye Downs to win his 3rd race of the season and his 2nd in Iowa. Garvey tonight in contention all the way. Rides second now. Getting by Sensiba. He'll lap by the machine, the 44 of Mark Dismore, several laps down. Behind him, Sawinski. Sensiba now back to 4th. Clanton is 5th. Garvey 1.3 seconds behind the leader. Gary St. Amant coming up on 50 laps to go. We watch the gap between the leader St. Amant out of 2. Garvey just coming up onto the straightaway. Things in hand for Gary St. Amant at the moment, but 52 laps are left. Welcome back live to Madison International Speedway in Oregon, Wisconsin. The ASA AC Delco Series live tonight on TNN Sports. Rick Benjamin with Steve Burns, Bob Diller. Watching the series championship leader, Gary St. Amant, put a hurt on this 34-car field tonight. He's got a 2-second advantage over Kevin Sawinski in the eWeb21.com Chevrolet. His teammate Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh Chevrolet, one of the other Lefebvre machines. Back in 3rd spot, Sawinski, who led early tonight, just took 2nd away from Garvey, and we'll show you how he made the move. Down in turns 1 and 2. Again, Steve, the inside line.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that with these corners as tight as they are, as narrow as they are, how these guys have continued to make that work. They're getting it done. I think that's got to be testimony to this BF Goodrich tires, Rick. I really do. Radial tires on ASA cars for the first time ever this season, changing the ball game for a lot of these drivers and teams. Those are their top 3. Joey Clanton is 4th. The drive of the night, Steve, we've singled out several drivers tonight, but I'm going to give a nod to David Stremme and Robert Hamke's Pontiac. Young driver, not much experience in these cars. 3rd race he's run with 43 laps to go. Started 33rd tonight. Stremme is up to 5th, and he spun once. And he's done a great job. And, you know, really, for, you know, a guy like him, a young racer, Rick, who's been racing in Indiana, you know, short tracks there, to come in here and do what he's done is incredibly impressive. Bob Diller, you're hanging out in Robert Hamke's pit area right now. They've got to be pleased with the effort this young driver has put forth tonight.
Very pleased. Robert Hamke is pleased with David Stremme and the runs he's had in this car so far. They They want to run more, but they can't get the financial backing. He will run the race at IRP and Winchester. They are hoping to put a deal together for next year to run for Rookie of the Year.
That's the car, of course, that Philip Cranifus started the season in. You saw during our quick piece on Mike Garvey's season. Cranifus and Garvey tangled at Louisville. Cranifus barrel rolled down the backstretch, got hit again, suffered some minor injuries, stepped out of the race car at that point, said, hey, I need more experience to run in this series. That opened up the seat. Stremme came to Salem in the car. This is the third time he's been in the machine. Just gave up the position to Glenn Allen Jr. So Stremme now back in 6th, Glenn Allen up in 5th, but very impressive run tonight. Mike Miller in the Janney King Pontiac qualified 5th tonight, has not run well since the first 30 laps. He's been backsliding through the field. He's on pit road. They're going to put right side tires on the Janney King Pontiac. Carl Hyland and the crew frustrated as they work on the right front corner of that car. Taking a look at the front end of the machine, working on some body work there. Looks like they may have gotten some crushed body panels on the left front side. They're working to pull the fender out. They get the hood up now, looking at the left front corner of the car, looking underneath. They haven't even changed the right front tire yet. Now they will. Mike's situation not in contention for the win tonight. He was back in 15th spot at the time of the stop, but off the pace, long pit stop for the 18 crew.
Rick, actually, that's the same tire they took off and they put it back on. I think they just want to look at that right front corner of the suspension parts.
Inside 40 laps to go, your leader, Gary St. Amant, and the Goodwrench wins Chevrolet. Hot brakes on all 4 corners of that car, but Gary St. Amant has really put on a clinic here tonight. Steve Burns hasn't put a wheel wrong all evening.
Yeah, Bob Dillner was talking earlier about how frustrated Gary St. Amant was. Now imagine that, frustrated. The guy has led the points since week number 1, has never gone out of the number 1 position, but he wants to win another race.
If he can complete the deal this season and win the championship, he'd be the 3rd ASA driver ever to lead wire to wire in the season championship standings. Greg Stewart with problems tonight, though. 28 laps remaining tonight on the Factory Motor Parts 300 at Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin. Your leader is Gary St. Amant in the Wins Chevrolet, the 7th car. Gary with a significant lead back to Kevin Sawinski running 2nd in the LeFevre Chevrolet, the eWeb21.com car right there. Those 2 drivers have dominated tonight. Sawinski led several laps early on. A little further back, there's your 3rd place run, the 1 of Mike Garvey. Right in front of him, the 83, right behind him rather, the 83 Joey Clanton rides 4th, and then Glenn Allen Jr. in the 4 car sits at 5th spot. I want to let you know, Greg Stewart's machine, we saw the car up on jack stands right before that commercial break. Broken rear axle for the 4 Oaks, North Carolina driver and his Stewart family Pontiac tonight. So a tough break for Greg Stewart. Garvey has flirted with the lead several times tonight in the Tecumseh machine. Strong run on the high banks for that team. Garvey with a very solid performance here this evening. Clanton right behind him in 4th, and then Glenn Allen Jr. in the 4. And David Stremme in your picture there in the blue 27, the Robert Hamke Pontiac. He is back in 6th position. Scott Hansen, who's been in the top 5 much of the night, ran 3rd earlier. Hansen to the 5. We'll show you the white Don Finetti Taurus. He's back riding in 7th spot right now.
Rick Kevin Sawinski in 2nd place. You know, I don't know if he's got enough laps, and it doesn't look like he does to catch St. Amant, but it's kind of a victory for him because he's led 95 laps here tonight. And, you know, coming in here, Kevin has only led, and this is hard to believe, he's only led 3 races for 39 laps.
1997 ASA National Champion, expected to come in, be competitive every week, which he has been. Hasn't yet been to victory lane. Thought tonight would be the night. We told you this was where Kevin Sawinski scored his first ever late model victory early in his career several years ago. There's the driver, Sawinski riding 2nd. Bob Dillner, what are they saying in his pit area?
Well, his fiance, Tracy Zamersky, actually found 4 leaf clovers here. Found 4 of them here this week at Madison. He put 1 on the notebook, 1 on the pit cart, 1 in the car, and 1 in Kevin's pocket. But he may need all the luck in the world to catch Gary St. Amant. Brian Dantine, can he catch Gary?
I don't know. Right now it's pretty tough. Traffic's pretty tough, but the eWeb 21 crew is doing a great job. We're trying like heck, but traffic's really tough. Gary's going to be tough to catch.
Brian just told me without a caution, he may not be able to catch him.
Sawinski working traffic down in turn 1, closing in on John Silverthorne's red 08 machine. 20 laps to go for the leaders. Sawinski is second, trying to track down Gary St. Amant, who's had the dominant car here tonight in the Wins Chevrolet. St. Amant coming across the start-finish line. There's Sawinski over the start-finish line, and there you see St. Amant working by the slow car of Scott Wimmer. Rick Beebe back on the racetrack after a lot of problems. He was caught up in that same wreck Wimmer was right at the start of the race. First corner tonight, we had a big pileup, several cars involved. Took both those drivers along with several others out of contention. St. Amant now with clean racetrack in front of him. Sawinski has got cars to work his way around up in turns 1 and 2. St. Amant about a half a straightaway in front, and we're inside 18 laps remaining.
And Gary St. Amant's trying to nail this one down. Would be his, I believe, 14th career victory, Rick.
Gary's been in the series since the 80s, 1998 national champion. Great guy, one of the most personable drivers you'll find anywhere. Very fine behind the steering wheel. Obviously won a couple last year, including the first ever ASA trip to the Monster Mile at Dover, Delaware. Super strong performance for St. Amant on that race day. Tonight he has been dominant. You're on board the Tecumseh Chevrolet of Mike Garvey. Taking a look back at the 4th place machine, the Pontiac of Joey Clanton from Georgia. Clanton, take a look to the inside of the 1 car there. Doesn't have enough to work by. Tristan Dupuis directly in front of this 2-car battle. Dupuis not on the lead lap in the 11 machine. Clanton looks like he may have something here for Mike Garvey in the final 15 laps.
Clanton's doing a great job. He's a graduate of Georgia Tech University, an engineering student. And, you know, speaking of Gary St. Amant, Gary's been working with Joey on his patience, you know, telling him when to hold it, when to fold it, basically. And Joey's doing a great job tonight. Fabulous job.
Garvey is third. Clanton is fourth. They get by Dupuis. Clanton looked like he was going to try an inside move on Garvey. Dupuis washes up the racetrack trying to get by Greg Stewart. They fixed the broken axle on the 33 car. Stewart back out there with 14 to go. Everybody stays straight, out of trouble. Up onto the front straightaway. St. Amant working inside Ricky Johnson. Tough situation for Ricky Johnson. He was up as high as 5th a few moments ago. He's backpedaled now, back in 12th position. Gary St. Amant, as we mentioned, frustrated the way the season has gone for him. We told you, though, 11 of the first 13 races, Gary's been in the top 6, only 1 win. Gary St. Amant, the 1998 Series champion, standing tall outside the race car, always ready to do battle. He has been very consistent all season long. The winner early on this year, season opener in Lakeland, Florida, back in March. Likes Nashville Speedway quite a bit. On the podium there, he's had 8 podium finishes, 8 top 3s this season. Battled Tim Sauter hard at Toledo, led late in the going before finishing second to the defending series champion. Knows when to race, when to ride. Tonight, he has been very racy.
Why did you see 8 finishes of 3rd or better?
8 finishes of 3rd or better, 11 in the top 6 this season. It's been a textbook campaign. Consistency, you couldn't ask for more than what we've seen from Gary St. Amant.
And Rick, there we are on board with Mike Miller. He had brake problems. We saw them take that right front tire off, so Mike Miller having problems again.
Could have had a hung brake rotor, hung calipers on the right front. Quick repairs, get Miller back on the racetrack. That would explain why the car just hasn't been fast. If your brakes are locking up on you, you cannot get up to speed, and it certainly will disturb the handling of the car, too. Mike seems to be running nice and free at the moment, able to hang pretty close to the race leader, Gary St. Amant. 9 laps to go for St. Amant in car number 7. We've crossed inside 10 remaining, and Gary St. Amant with 9 laps left. Looks like he's well on his way to his 2nd win of the season, and this would build his point lead substantially over Tim Sauter. Tim was 289 points behind coming in. Sauter with that trouble in the first turn tonight. He's advanced to 27, and that's a testimony to putting the car back together and making laps, but he's going to lose an awful lot of points.
Yeah, remember, Gary St. Amant is going to get bonus points. He led a lap. He's going to, I believe, get the bonus points for leading the most laps. We said that Sawinski had led 95, but Gary has led more than that, so could be a big jump in the points for Gary St. Amant.
And the driver who may benefit the most from this behind St. Amant would be Kevin Sawinski, who is second.
Right.
3.2 seconds behind. He is giving up ground. Good battle down the backstretch. David Stremme in the 27 car working inside Larry Foyt. That's not for position. He washes up the racetrack. Butch Miller wants the spot. He gets inside and takes over 5th. They battle for 5th. Butch gets the spot away from David Stremme. So Butch Miller managing his tires, doing a great job at the end of the race where he's always so strong. 5 laps to go for the leaders. 5 to go. Butch to the inside takes the spot Butch Miller in the Meyer Stores Pontiac looks like he's on his way to a good top 5 here tonight at Madison International Speedway.
Yep, like we said, Butch Miller, at the end of the race, you look up, and there he is in the top 5. Not going to win tonight, but boy, he gave it a run.
2 laps to go. Next time by for your leader in the 7, Gary St. Amant. There he is down the back straightaway all alone. Kevin Sawinski just starting up onto the back stretch. Crew watching, seeing if Gary St. Amant could close the deal here. Gets the 2 to go from starter Danny Spence. Lapping by Silverthorne and Mark Dismal.
They look pretty calm down there, Rick.
They ought to. They've had the dominant machine tonight. They've got a great driver at the saddle. And the 1998 ASA National Champion comes to the white flag here tonight at Madison. White flag waving over the 7 car. Kevin Sawinski will finish second in the pier tonight. And he will lose ground to St. Amant as well. But Kevin probably will go back to second in the ASA point chase with 6 races to go in the season after tonight. Down to the stripe. Checkered flags wave over Gary St. Amant from Columbus, Ohio. Sawinski grabs second. Garvey is third. Joey Clanton takes fourth. Butch Miller is fifth. David Stremme with a great run to sixth. Jack Landis, Scott Hansen, Glenn Allen Jr., and Dave Sensiba round out your first 10. Gary St. Amant flips the visor up. He will wave to the fans on the front straightaway. And he is your winner for the 2nd time this season. The Columbus, Ohio veteran wins the Factory Motor Parts 300. Back to meet your winner in Victory Lane after this. Oh, we've got happy winners all over the place tonight here at Madison International Speedway. Gary St. Amant slaps the roof, jumps out of the race car to Bob Dylan.
He is one happy camper right now. Gary St. Amant with his 14th career ASA win. Gary, unbelievable. I can see you're pretty happy. And I know this entire team, as we get sprayed with water down here by Kevin Sawinski's crew, just an awesome team effort after some maybe a little bit of struggles on pit road the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know, we finally got lucky at the end of the race where we didn't get an unlucky break with the caution. No cautions there at the end really helped us. This one here, I mean, this is all to my crew because in and out of the pits first every time. I mean, it's awful hard for the competition to beat that. And, you know, whenever you have a team like Bud Gevin, Bill McGowan, the whole API team wins, GM Goodwrench, Lane Automotive, Port City Racing, I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that, Bob.
We talked a little bit about the frustrations. A car to win the past couple of weeks, but you couldn't pull off the victory. You did now. That frustration's gone. I know you've been a very hungry racer.
You know, I really wanted to win a race up here in Wisconsin really bad, and Scott Hansen seems to win the races that I want to race and that I want to win, and to win here in Wisconsin means an awful lot for me and Bud Gevin, Phyllis Gevin, my car owners, and it's just a great win for us. Got to say hi to Tracy and Jordan at home, and can't wait to get home.
And, of course, that point lead just extended even more now, Gary.
Yeah, I think we're done points racing for the year. It's time to go out and try and win us some races here for the rest of the year. And, you know, we have the team to do it. We have the car to do it. And, you know, hopefully everything will just fall in place for us here the rest of the year.
Bud Gevin, the car owner, what do you think about that? He says he's going to go out and win a bunch of more races before the season's done.
Well, I sure hope so, but I got to thank him for this one because this was Phyllis and my anniversary tonight. And I told her I was going to get her something, and this is it.
Big happy anniversary for Bud Gevin and his wife.
Nice trophy and first place check for that happy couple, and we congratulate them on their wedding anniversary. And congratulations certainly to Gary St. Amant. A very impressive drive tonight for the 1998 ASA National Champion, bidding for his second title in 3 years. He comes home the big winner over Kevin Sawinski and Mike Garvey, the two Lefevre teammates. Joey Clanton with a good run from the back of the field to fourth. Butch Miller with a nice bit of strategy toward the end of the night, getting fifth. And David Stremme, Jack Landis with a good run. Show you the second 10. Russ Tuttle with a good drive tonight to 11th. Ricky Johnson backpedal at the end, Steve. We talked about their last set of tires. Must not have been the combination they wanted.
Rick, he came out of the pits in third position and dropped like a rock.
Take a look at the 21st through 30th place finishers. How about John Silverthorne from the back of the field?
Big John.
Good 21st for Big Bad John. And Ted Smokestadt and Buddy Gainey's machine gets 22nd tonight. Final couple of finishers, trouble for Rick Beebe and Brian Hoppy, who led early for a few laps. Dennis Lampman and the 0-1 of Greg Edwards, the third Lefevre Motorsports car, had difficulties here tonight. The youngster from Quasin, Virginia, gets 34th spot. A lot of fans watching. There'll be a lot of celebrating here tonight at Oregon. Hey, the Monsters come out Friday nights here on TNN. No, we're not talking about a horror show. We're talking about the car-crushing, hard-charging monster trucks. All the action yours on TNN's Motor Madness every Friday night at 10 Eastern and Pacific. A part of TNN's Thrill Zone Friday.
Monster trucks.
Another big night for you, I know.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? Goldberg, Bulldozer.
The sand drags, I hear, are one of your favorites.
They're over awfully quick.
They are awesome. Well, one of the monsters of the Midway here tonight was the second-place finisher, Kevin Sawinski, standing by downstairs with Bob Dillner.
And I think he still has that 4-leaf clover in his pocket. Yes, he does. He has the 4-leaf clover, but not lucky enough here tonight, Kevin.
No, it really wasn't. You know, this eWeb21.com, 21 Lefevre Racing Monte Carlo was strong all night, and we just kind of got a little shuffled back in some of the pit stops, and Gary was tough. We knew right from the beginning we passed each other back and forth a little bit, and I think sized each other up, and you know, I knew he was going to be one to beat tonight all night, and we just couldn't quite catch him coming through lap traffic there late in the race.
An awesome run for you here, but this is the second time you finished second to Gary when he's pulled into victory lane this year.
Yeah, you know, Gary's having a tremendous season, and you know, my hats go off to him and his team because they're preparing their car week in, week out, just like us. And I know what it takes to win a points championship. So he's going to be tough to beat. But, you know, we're happy. We got both Lefevre and Monte Carlos in the top three tonight. And me and Mike, the Tecumseh Chevrolet, are going to plug away at Gary and try to get at that points championship yet.
Guys, take a look at this. This is Janet Billings out of Ottawa, Illinois. She used to be the Queen Bee back when they called the Kevin Sawinski fan club the Killer Bees. Now she's the Mad Hatter, and she's the president of the Kevin Sawinski fan club, I'd say.
Looks that way.
Too.
Kevin Sawinski gets a lot of support from a lot of fans here at Madison International Speedway in Oregon, Wisconsin. Threatening weather when we started tonight. Good to know that the clouds moved away and we didn't have any delays in the program tonight whatsoever. And a great night for the top three finishers. Gary St. Amant with his second win of the year. Kevin Sawinski finishes second yet again. And Mike Garvey, the driver who won last week at Hawkeye Downs in Iowa. 3 wins on the season for Garvey. Came up a little bit short tonight, Bob Dillner.
Well, we've talked about how this team has been feast or famine all year long, and another good, consistent run for this team, Mike.
Yeah, it was, Bob. I mean, we didn't hit the setup right on the money tonight in the Tecumseh Monte Carlo, but, you know, if we can miss the setup and finish third, we'll take that. You know, we can't have it right on every week we want to be, and that's what we strive for. But we didn't have a very good car today, but I'll tell you what, our pit crew had awesome stops. I mean, they passed 4 or 5 cars every time in the pits, put us in position to get a podium, and this is pretty good for the Lefevre Racing teams. Us third, Kevin second, and I was really hoping Kevin would win. I thought Kevin might have something for him, so but we'll take second and third.
Did you talk about that a little bit when you knew Kevin's car was a little bit better than yours? Let him go, let him try to go against Gary?
Well, at the end I did. During the middle of the race, no, I didn't let him go. I mean, he had to race to pass me, and then when I realized at the end, I mean, he caught me, and Gary was getting away, so there's no reason for me to race Kevin. I pulled over and let Kevin go, and hopefully he could have got him, but came up a little bit short, but we'll get him next week in Milwaukee.
In the past 6 or 7 races, this guy has 2 wins, 2 seconds, and now a third-place finish.
Very strong run tonight for Garvey. Solidifies his position in the points chase, moves him up significantly tonight. Tim Sauter, who was second in the standings, had a very difficult night. Got caught up in that very first wreck and finished back deep in the field in 27th spot. More to come after this. One driver we talked about a bit tonight had a good run going for a while until the last pit stop. Standing by with Bob Dillner.
Well, we thought Ricky Johnson was going to challenge for the lead there after that last caution, but what happened?
Well, we made a call all night long. Rolly and I were talking, and Les had helped us. They actually, the opposite, it freed us up. So we made a call for Les. I had an awesome pit stop. I came out third behind Gary and one other car. So we thought we had a good car, but then we had a front pan that fell off, and then with the left sides tightening us up, and that just put the Nationwide Auction System, WorldBestBuy.com Chevy back, and we were just getting picked off left and right.
A good run, and after a lot of several tough runs here, it's got to feel good for this team and yourself to get back up front.
Well, you know, it's hard because when you have that kind of glimpse, you know, you have a hope. You know, you're grabbing for the ring, and then you lose it at the end, and then to go completely a lap down to Gary, who congratulations to him. He had a great car. It breaks your heart a little bit, but we stayed out of trouble. We're still working on it, and I'm still going to get that win.
I'm sure he is, Rick.
Good run tonight for Ricky Johnson. Sorry that things didn't work out the way they wanted in the last 50 laps because it looked like they were targeted for a top 5.
Yeah, came out of the pits in 3rd position, and then, boy, whatever that call they made just didn't work for him.
Take you through the running order one more time here at Madison International Speedway. Russ Tuttle with a good 11th. There's Ricky Johnson in 12th ahead of Larry Foyt. And David Bonnet, who spun a couple of times, comes back and scores a top 15 tonight on the Dunlop Golf 75. Next week, Sunday afternoon from the Milwaukee Mile at 3 Eastern, we're going to jet back to Charlotte, North Carolina and bring you TNN Race Day tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time. We'll wrap up tonight's ASA action, the World of Outlaws in action out of the state of Washington, the IHRA drag racing stars in action this weekend, and the NHRA live tomorrow afternoon from Brainerd, Minnesota here on TNN Sports. We'll preview that for you. Also, plenty of Winston Cup and Busch Series coverage from Michigan and the Kart Stars not too far from here at Road America in Wisconsin. Hope you can join us tomorrow for Race Day at 11 o'clock Eastern and Pacific. Our congratulations to tonight's big winner at Madison International. Point leader Gary Saintamont wins his 2nd race of the season for the Bud Gebbin Automotive Promotions team. For Steve Burns and Bob Dillner, I'm Rick Benjamin. We'll see you tomorrow on Race Day and next Sunday from the Milwaukee Mile. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.